Patch 9.2.5 social contract data mined. That's right, guys. Social credit score. Get ready. World of Warcraft, Azeroth, might as well call it China. So let's look and see what they have to say. The latest patch 9.2.5 build includes an interesting addition, data mined within the global strings, indicating that players will be prompted to accept a social contract before playing the game. Not unlike terms of service agreement, it just appears to specify what types of behavior are not tolerated within the game, requiring them to accept either the terms or exit the game. So, take it or leave it. The text begins with a greeting, welcoming players into World of Warcraft and reminding them the game is made up of real people playing the game. That's right, because it's not an introduction to Lost Ark. Who may come from different backgrounds and cultures before going on a list behavior which will not be tolerated within the game. The terms include untolerated behavior. I don't really like how people use cultures as an example, because there are plenty of cultures that are not okay with gay people, but if, I find it to be, this is not accepting of other cultures. This is accepting of other ethnicities. This has nothing to do with cultures. I find this to be annoying, because it's disingenuous. Anyway, let's look at the rest of these. Before going on the list, behavior which will not be tolerated within the game. These terms include untolerated behavior, including harassment, threats, abusive and derogatory language, spamming, advertising, and other disruptive behaviors, as well as hate speech, other negative comments regarding the player's identity, including their race, gender, or abilities. I think abilities is... This is the word that I think a lot of people have drawn criticism to, and we're going to talk about that. And so, we're going to get into all this, etc. I think it's just like they don't want you calling people like the N-word or the F-word, right? I mean, is this really that crazy? I mean, I don't know. I like every game has this, like, I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah, let's see here. Hail Traveler, welcome to World of Warcraft. Azeroth is a living world full of people like you. This is what it says in the game. Other players with different backgrounds, cultures, experiences, and histories who have all come together to play World of Warcraft. Every player deserves to have a world that they feel safe in, so please take a minute to read our social contract. While in Azeroth, do your best to connect with other players and make friends. Be courteous in group content that can help you and your teammates have the best time possible. Sending a friendly hello message can help set your group up for success. Play as a team with your fellow players. Whether in dungeons, raids, battlegrounds, arenas, or out questing in the world, do your best to support your team through your communication and behaviors so that you all can celebrate your success together. Assist other players that you encounter in the world. Maybe they need help with defeating a tough monster, or maybe they could use a little healing. Help answer questions others have in chat channels like General or Trade. We were all nubs once. One person offering some help can all go a long way. So let's talk about this first half here. I think this is obviously, this is good intentions. Like, there's nothing really wrong with this. Like, it's cringe, but fine. Yeah. So I think Blizzard is not going far enough with this one here. What I think Blizzard should do is they should have, so you guys might not even know this. But the new players that are part of the WoW mentor program, right? These are mentors. It has a little flag over their head. And this little Murloc here shows people that you are new to the game. It's just like the Sprout icon in Final Fantasy. My opinion is that this should be visible to everybody and not just mentors. Target to bully? Well, the thing is, like, here's why it works in Final Fantasy and why this stuff doesn't happen. It's because Final Fantasy doesn't draw the line at the N-word. They don't draw the line at, like, targeted harassment and abuse. They draw the line at antisocial and obnoxious behavior that is designed to ruin other people's experiences. And in my opinion, I think if you want to actually have rules like this and go out and say all of this, you need to do that too. And I'm not talking about, oh my God, he said I was bad at the game. Ban him, please. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I don't think this has anything to do with it. But here's the difference. If somebody is doing an in-game event and then somebody else gets on a big mount and they try to ruin the in-game event by like fucking around with it, Square Enix does not play into the intellectual dishonesty that the person didn't know exactly what they were doing. Square Enix says, you did it, you know what you were doing, you were fucking with these people, you were ruining their time, and you're getting suspended for it. And that's it. They don't fuck around with the intellectual dishonesty because they know. They know what you're fucking doing, and it's obvious. It's the same thing with stream sniping. And it wasn't just with me. Pakora, a VTuber, as far as I know, was playing Final Fantasy, and she was getting harassed by her viewers. She reported them to Square Enix, and it was gone. Problem solved. They were banned. Same thing happened with me. Because they don't fuck around with intellectual dishonesty. I think that if you indulge intellectual dishonesty in things like this, there is no level that you can't stoop down to. People, oh, I didn't understand this. My cat was on the keyboard. Oh, I didn't mean to do this. So in my opinion, I think that if, like, for example, if you queue into a battleground and you throw the battleground and you're just standing around doing nothing, just trying to barely get out of AFK, or you're fighting in the BG with like gear from 2 expansions ago just to troll people and make them mad, I think they should suspend you for that. Because you're ruining everybody else's time. You're ruining their time. You're fucking their game up. You're wasting their fucking time. It's toxic, it's obnoxious, and there's no reason to allow that. Like, hard agree? Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. It's like you're just throwing and feeding in the game. Nobody wants, like, nobody does that. Nobody has that happen. And then they think afterwards, oh wow, this is so great, I can't wait to queue again. Fuck that, man. So, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. Yes, you did. Get the fuck out of here. That's the way that you deal with people like this. Fuck that, man. Grown-up gamers are so childish nowadays, they have to play childcare worker? Yeah, and Square Enix doesn't do that. They treat them like adults. And guess what? That gets people to act like adults. So let's look at the rest of it. We recognize that the internet is not always a safe haven. With that in mind, please note that the following behaviors are not accepted in Azeroth. That means that you can say these things in the Shadowlands, apparently. I'm just kidding. Hate speech, including negative comments to target another player's identity, including all aspects like race, gender, or ability. Now, I think that ability clearly means calling people autistic or retarded or something like that, right? This clearly does not mean that saying somebody is bad at the game is going to get you banned. I think that this is clearly referring to that, or using a mental disability as an insult or something like that. Insulting disabilities, yes. That's basically what it comes down to. Like, you guys don't know this, but I think I've mentioned it before. I don't call people autistic anymore. Autistic is it's a medical determination, and I don't use that word anymore because it just has. I think this is a medical word, and I don't use it. And it's not something that Twitch had to tell me to stop doing. Nobody told me to stop doing this. I just decided to not do this. I think that autistic is it means so many different things. It's weird, etc. This is what I decided. Like, I just don't really want to use this word anymore. I used to use it all the time. I don't anymore. Use Spurg, yeah, but like people use like Mongo or something like that, right? And like the etymology of that word does have a negative origin, but I think the word fundamentally has removed itself from that origin to the point where it's not offensive. And I feel the same way about Spurg, right? And like, again, this is just like, I can get into this and talk about it for a long time, but in general, this is the way that I feel. PC Asmongold? No, it's not that. I say plenty of things that are offensive. I just choose not to use that one. That's all there is to it. Let's see here. Harassment, threats, abusive, derogatory language, and behavior. I think this is obviously a good thing. This is a massive, massive fucking thing. Because the problem with this has always been against the rules. This has always been against the rules. But the difference here is that Blizzard needs to actually punish people for doing it. Because there are a lot of girls out there and a lot of people out there who have been harassed by somebody in Warcraft, and it has taken way too long for Blizzard to ban that person. In my opinion, this is the way that I look at it, right? Is that if you are going from if somebody blocks you on one character and you go on another character to send them messages, which apparently like this is no longer possible, but it used to be, I would immediately 6-month ban that person. Because like you have to treat people like it, because people would stop doing it if they knew they'd get 6-month banned. Like they would. Like I like in my opinion, there is Whitehammer. Thanks to the 10 gifted subs, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, permanent. Like I find that there is no virtue in indulging an abusive person. There is no virtue in allowing an abusive person like that to exist in the community. Now, obviously, could they appeal the ban, apologize, and get it reduced? Yeah, sure. But like, there would have to be like a significant punishment for that. And why indulge somebody who is willingly so hostile? You know what I mean? Like, it's awful. There's harassments in the Blizzard office? Well, but there's not, though, because, like, whenever there was like a massive statewide investigation and people were getting fired for it. So, like, actually, that's a good example. So, like, that happened in the Blizzard office. People got fired. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they got punished for it. Like, it's just, it's such a weird comparison to make. After years, yeah. Yeah, and after years, and that's what people said. They said, what the fuck? How'd it take so long? Yeah, why the fuck did it take so long? That's exactly what they were saying. And this is the same thing I'm saying here with the game. That's what I mean, man. And what's this here? If they ban toxic players, they won't have any players left. No, it's not true. Most people just don't. Most people will behave how you expect them to behave. I think that is a general truth. Most people behave how you expect them to behave. Wouldn't a short bad connection cause suspension inadvertently? No, because it's, guys, it's not what's gonna happen. Like oh wow, you go into one battleground and you AFK the battleground. You're not gonna get banned for 6 months because of that. I'm talking about people that do this for like days, and they do it and they're mocking people as they're doing it. Like it's so obvious what's going on. Like I feel like, again, this is like this is the intellectual dishonesty speaking here. It's like, oh, but what about if they were having, no, like that's like, no, fucking no. Like, stop bringing up these like weird fucking extreme examples that are like never gonna happen. What about this? Yeah, it's nuts, man. You should be able to fuck with people. I think that if you fuck with people and they, like in a battleground where they're like matched up against you or matched up with you automatically and you make their experience worse, I think that, yeah, you should be suspended for that. Yeah, I mean, I did this back in the day. Like, I mean, like, yeah, and if I knew I would get suspended, I would never do it. Like, I would never do something that would get me suspended. You see what I'm saying? It's on that scale personally. Yeah, everyone has different thresholds. It's very easy to get mired down in trying to think about some like worldly, oh, but what about this or what about that? I don't do that. I look at things like Square Enix doesn't have a problem with that. Square Enix doesn't have a problem with that for any reason. You know what they do? They just ban them. Problem solved. Because they don't treat people like children. They treat people like adults, and they assume that what's happening is probably what's exactly happening. It's like Soda made that name or something like, what was his name again? I forgot what it was. And it was spelled backwards, and it was obviously something bad. And Square Enix, they're not going to play games with you. They're like, we know, Drader, yeah. They know what you're doing. They're like, all right, change your name. They're like, why? You know why. Change your name. And that's it. Yeah, they don't think about like, oh, what about this? What about this other thing? No, that's it. They don't like, and that's how you treat people. And guess what? You have a lot less people doing that stuff. Absolutely. Blizzard wouldn't ban a paying subscriber. Too much to lose for them. They do that all the time. They suspend people constantly. And so you need good customer service to do this. And this is what I'm really trying to get at, is that the customer service in WoW has been historically pretty bad. It's like the guy who got permabanned for continuously debuffing people and then bragging about it on his stream. I don't remember what that was, but I think that just in general, this is an issue. Asmongold would have supported Stalin-era censorship. And this is how I know that Asmon supports unbridled fascism and censorship. Yes, so that's right. Whenever I say that you shouldn't be able to go into a battleground and throw the game by wearing expansion gear from 2 expansions ago, that means that I agree with a mass murderer. That's the same. It's the exact same thing, man. Like, is this Quantum TV's alt account? I mean, this is such a leap. I think it could be. It's nuts. Square Enix support is actually very bad. They're only good whenever a problem has a lot of visibility, such as on a stream. I think this is the case with a lot of things, but at least it has at least they're good in that case. And Blizzard's been terrible about dealing with bad players. We need social item level in the game. People can rate their interactions of the players. Also make a rating account wide. Yeah, sure, and have it correlate to your credit score too. Spamming advertising or other disruptive behaviors. If you harm your fellow adventurers with any of the above behaviors, subject to punishment. It's a big world out there with all the people in it, so just try to be respectful for each other. If you ever feel like somebody's acting against the code, please report these behaviors so our team can look into it. So here's the thing. This is where I draw the line. Sophia, thanks for the 10 gifted subs. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So let's talk a little bit about what I think about this. And people are getting upset that they can't say something. They go full ape mode, no thinking, just lashing out. Well, it's not about just saying something. It's about, to me, it matters a lot more what somebody's intent is behind what they're saying. And also, like, how dedicated they are towards being obnoxious or rude. So, for example, in principle, agree. You can't deny, though, when you set up a system, there's a danger of people being caught in the crossfire. Obviously, it's high standard. Oh, the thing is, like, but yeah, like, that's with any system. Like, you can't have any system without having, like, there are people that are in jail right now, and they shouldn't be in jail. Does that mean that we shouldn't have jails? No, because the truth is, and this is an uncomfortable truth that a lot of people don't want to come to terms with, there is an acceptable level of mistakes with the law, with anything. There is an acceptable level, and you can never go down to zero. It is impossible. It is an impossible ideal, and if you try to do that, you will end up doing nothing. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, margins of error exist in every profession. Yes, there will be a margin of error. You're exactly right. And you know how to make that margin of error smaller? You have real people that are looking into these cases directly. Because this is what the problem, Yoshi P commenting on the behavior in Final Fantasy, I'll look at that in a bit, okay? Right now, let me finish this. It's called a trade-off. Yes, exactly. And so, Blizzard gives out bonus social points to people who harass women. No, man, come on. Like, let's be realistic. I think it's unfair to like Blizzard. I mean, they've been through the ringer. I mean, it'd be one thing if they have something like this happen ever again or whatever. But I mean, like, all of those accusations were over like 10 years. Those people are out of the company. Like, the people that are probably working there now were the ones that tried to push them out anyway. So, like, let them live past it. Like, I mean, California is. Like, just let them live past it. Like, come on. Like, they really, I mean, that's unfair to just, it's unfair to do that. Yeah, I mean, come on, Bobby's there. Yeah, and people don't like Bobby. And I think if you want to be upset about Bobby, I think you're totally fucking justified. You're totally fucking justified, man. Let's see here. Gotta be fair to Blizzard employees. I think it's being fair to anybody. It's not there's not a group of people that you should be fair to or not fair to. I think that you should be fair to people who deserve it. And there's no reason to say that that's not the case, right? Free speech. Oh, you can say whatever you want, right? I'm just disagreeing with it. Anyway, so this is the way that I look at it, right? Is that this stuff, I don't really care about this a lot, and I think this is probably in a lot of ways a good thing, but it needs to be enforced. Because one of the biggest problems that WoW has had is that the enforcement of these systems has been very bad. And people have been harassed, like I've been harassed as a streamer, and it's not a streamer-specific thing. There are a lot of girls that have gotten harassed in WoW, and they've quit the game over it. Because why would you want to log on to a game whenever you have some creepy psycho that's trying to make new characters constantly and message you? Why would you want to have that? Why would you want to do that? There's no reason. So, proof? Sure, I'll give you a bit of proof. Do you want one example of proof? Yeah, like I can give you one bit of proof. Sure. Okay, so this is a guild on Faralina. I've showed this before, right? But like, let's look at this for now. This is a guild on Faralina, and they kicked a guy out of the guild because he was black. And then they invited him back into the guild, and then they asked him if he was still black. He said, yes, as a matter of fact, I am still black. And they removed him from the guild again. So these things do happen. This is real. This is not some sort of weird fucking, Amber Heard, like I'm making this up because I want attention bullshit. This is real. It's actually happening. It's happened to real people. And I've seen it. It happened to Cora before. That she was a very good friend of mine. I played with her for like 10 years in WoW. And she got harassed by a number of guys. Blizzard never did anything about it. I saw it happen. Like, it's just, the thing is that I understand people want proof because a lot of times people do make stuff up like this. But this is a case where it's not fake. It's not. I respect your opinion. Blizzard's already ruined their image, not doing anything. The court of public opinion decided that Blizzard as a company is not a good company to work for if you're a woman. I don't think the court of public opinion is really, like, yes, I would say, like, right now you're probably right in general, but it's very hard to speak for the court of public opinion. A friend of mine said the same in Final Fantasy, which nearly went into IRL stalking, and that is a complete failure on Square Enix's part. That is a complete and massive failure on their part, and they should not have done that. I think that you're totally right. I do. Nally, the female gladiator warrior, had to stop streaming due to a stalker. Yes, exactly. And Blizzard didn't really do a lot about it as well. And I feel like this is gonna be good for the community to hear NMP's experience playing WoW. Yeah, talk to Nick. See what he what his experience was as somebody who's black who played the game, and see how many of those people are banned. Probably not a lot of them, or were banned back then. So, like, this is a game that's had a history of this problem in a very authentic way. This is not something that is some weird, like, social justice brownie point, you know, like he said, she said, bullshit. This isn't somebody having a different political opinion. These are actual fucking malicious people that Blizzard should do something about. You see what I'm saying? Snowminxie? Yeah, Snowminxie's another one. A lot of WoW streamers have the same thing happen. I'll read a few comments out of this, and we'll see what this is. Final Fantasy is a stupid lodestone site which lets you track people wherever they go. Yeah, I think that they should fix that. I heard about that. I think they should get rid of that. People are just going to be like in real life then. I'm black, so you owe me. You can't kick me out. So you think that, like, because of this, they're going to have black people in the game who think they can't get kicked out of a battleground because they're black? That's what you think? Have you ever read what you type before you press enter? Have you ever thought about doing that? Because I would recommend to take that possibility, maybe do that. It's such dishonesty. Yeah, and like, again, it's just people argue to argue. Again, it's the same thing as Quantum. It really is. How is it? The blocking is still the only character base and not the entire account. They've changed it recently, and it has been. Yeah, it is now that way. You know, your only person is be able to ban bots from the game back in BFA and Master Report. Remember, if this thing's going to work, Blizzard needs a lot of people to check the reports. You're very right. And that's what I'm saying, is that all of this, these are all empty words if it's not accompanied with, like, a beefed up customer service system. And what's chat today? So basically, there's a lot of people out there, and I think that some of them have legitimate grievances. That, you know, the things that you can talk about online are becoming smaller. The Overton window is becoming more narrow, and they're unhappy about that. And I think that they lash out against that by accepting things that are completely outside of the scope of normal behavior. These are things that are way beyond what is just a different political opinion. But they do it because they feel like they are tangentially aligned with the people who believe those things. And you couldn't be more wrong. These people don't like you. They don't like anything about you. They're just assholes and pieces of shit. And by defending them, all you're doing is making excuses for somebody who's an asshole and a piece of shit. I understand. I think free speech online does matter, and I agree with that in many regards. But I'm not open-minded enough to have my brain fall out. I can see whenever somebody is abusive and aggressive about it like this, that the company should take action and should get rid of this person. These people actively make the game worse for everybody else around them, and they just, in general, make the experience of everybody out there worse. Why indulge a person who is abusive, vitriolic, angry, and aggressive about it? Why even take any time to do this? In any society, in any point in real life, nobody would ever accept this. If you did this at a party, you'd be asked to leave. If you did this at work, you'd be fired. If you did this at any sort of a social gathering, you'd probably also be asked to leave. There is literally no circumstance in all of real life that accepts any of this behavior in any sort of common culture. There's no world where this is okay. You see what I'm saying? It's not like real life. Yeah. Video games are not a platform for your free speech. I think that an ideal of free speech and letting people talk about and say things that they want is an ideal to work towards, even though obviously it's not in the Constitution. I think that it does matter, and I would like to move towards that. I think that's a good thing. There's a difference. There's like an ideal in the First Amendment. I like the idea of being able to talk about things, but I do believe in censorship on a personal level. I believe that if somebody is saying something that you don't like, you should be able to block them for whatever reason you want. You should be able to say, fuck you, I don't want to hear what you're saying, you're done. It's the same thing like on Twitter. You should be able to block people, you should be able to mute people, you should be able to do whatever, right? On a personal level, I totally agree with that. But platform-wide is very different. Remove anonymity and the problem is solved. Yeah, but I think that's solved in a bad way. It's complicated. Freedom of speech doesn't give you freedom from repercussions. That's exactly what freedom of speech is. You understand that, right? Like, you could say whatever you wanted back in the Dark Ages. It's just that the government or the church would burn you alive for saying it. So you could say whatever you wanted. It's just the consequence is getting burned alive. Like, it's a very silly thing to say. Freedom of consequences is the fundamental of freedom of speech. Yeah, that's the fundamental of it. That's what he meant. Yeah. Oh, is that what he meant? I don't know, but that's my point that I'm making, right? Yeah, a person offended should be able to block, not completely banned from the game. In some regards, I think that if a person is abusive enough, you should probably ban them from the game as a disincentive to behave a certain way. I do think so. I think that people go over the line and it's too much, and there's no reason to allow a person like that to be in the community. Freedom of speech is freedom of consequence from the government. Yes, exactly. That's why I was talking about the ideal and clearly differentiating the two. And again, we can talk about, listen, I don't want to go in circles and argue about politics in this, okay? Let's just get back to Warcraft and talk about that. I think that in general, these are the lines that I draw, and these are the lines that I think Blizzard should draw. I think that it's okay to tell somebody that they're dog shit if they're in a game and they're fucking things up, right? So like if you're doing a raid and like somebody says you suck, what are you doing? Your damage sucks, anything like this, I think this is totally fine. You should be able to say this. However, I think that if you kick the person out and you press the issue onto that person, then it becomes harassment. That is the point where it becomes harassment. And don't hurt the feelings. So I feel like I don't want to moderate the individual words that are used because I do think that it does get very muddy. And so it's hard to say. But the moment that you take it beyond that, that's whenever it becomes too much. Press the issue? Yes, whenever you press the issue. People somehow think that being racist will bring back good content. That's not what I'm talking about. Derogatory language could be calling a transmog dog shit. That's clearly not what they're saying. Anybody would think that. Mr. GM interview in 20 minutes? We'll watch it then. Who the fuck said that? I don't know. The racists will always say it's a difference in opinion. I don't want to get into racism, okay? Like obviously they're going to ban you for that. It doesn't matter what your opinion is on it. They're going to ban you for it anyway. So there's no reason talking about it. This is where I think Blizzard should draw the line. What constitutes pressing the issues then? Constitutes pressing the issues is that it's obviously it's like super circumstantial, and that's why I gave like an example. So like for example, if like you beat somebody in an arena game and you message them and you tell them that they suck, and like yeah, that's probably bad. Like I don't know, like I think that's very gray. I would say that's more bad than good, but I'm not gonna make like a for sure like, oh yeah, you should suspend people for that, right? But if you block them after they say you suck, and then they make another character to say it again, suspension. Suspension, that's it. Also, if they do it more than once. So, like, for example, if you beat somebody in a BG, or somebody beats you in a BG, they say you suck, and then they do it again, then I think that, yeah, That should be it, because it's too many. You don't need to do that more than once. So, like in a raid, for example, if somebody's doing bad damage and they're not doing well, I think the solution to that, and this is what I do in my raids most of the time nowadays. I used to berate people and do this a lot more. I don't really do that anymore. What I usually do is I call people out. Obviously, I'm not like really mean about it, right? I mean, we make it a little bit funny, but everybody knows it's usually in good fun. And what I do is I'll call somebody out. I'll say, you did this wrong, and make sure that they acknowledge that. And then if they don't, I kick them out and I get somebody new. It's that simple. Yeah, it is that simple. And so that's how you should handle it. You're down. You can be pretty mean. I really don't think that I'm that mean. I actually think that if you take any clip of me in the last year or so, the only time that I've been mean to people is whenever they make excuses and they do something like that. And I don't think an argument is grounds for suspending somebody, right? I don't think arguing with somebody should be a suspension. Yeah, 7-hour raid, exactly. Gordon Ramsay method. Pure land performance and task and ads, fine. Yeah, exactly. Cat Asmongold, that's a different story. Yeah, that's very different. By your logic, you don't even have to do it in the first place. Well, no, I think that, like, for example, I'm putting on a show for my stream, right? So it's a different paradigm. And people coming into it know that. If they're going to suspend me for that, I would stop doing it, but Blizzard's probably not going to suspend me for that. That's why I don't do it in Final Fantasy. But, yeah, it's part of it's just for fun. Yeah. I've never been a guild leader, but it looks fulfilling. Genuinely looks fulfilling. Yeah, it also looks draining. Keep that in mind, too. We banned a person for nothing 2 hours ago. I'm going to ban you too. I'm going to ban you too. If you didn't see why I banned that person for being a moron, I'm going to ban you too. I don't want to deal with it. I don't like reading these stupid messages from people, and they're annoying. That's all there is to it. Yeah, no, for nothing. Oh, always for nothing. Yes, of course it is. As a mean person expert, you're about 6 of 10 on the mean scale, sometimes an 8. Like that time you stole my mount? Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. And El Dictator, yeah, listen, going full payo, I think that's the way to handle it. Like, the thing is that I don't have a lot of I'm not gonna like negotiate and argue with people, right? It's my stream, that's it. And so that's all there is to it, man. And said if you feel like you should be able to block those dudes and they're surprised they get banned, that's the way it goes, boys. That's the way it goes. And so yeah, generally, let's go back to this, okay? I think that Blizzard needs to accompany this with a beefed up CS system and need to take accounts and people that are obviously bad actors in the game out of the game without giving them excuses, without trying to think of some like weird fucking, oh, well, I had to use Thunder Fury in the Battleground and you know, LMAO in general chat whenever they were getting mad at me. I had to do that because my cat was on fire. Nope, I didn't have time to switch my weapon because my cat was on fire and then I forgot because, like, I'm blind or something. Like, nope, just ban them. That's it. Done. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. That's it. And so, yes. And I think that's the best way to handle things, and that's the smart way to handle things. Game devs overstepping. Trash talk exists in real life sports scenarios as well as video games. Just part of competing. Trash talk, I think, on a very light level is not that big of a deal. But I'm not really talking about that. That's a gray area, and we can argue about that all day. But I think that most people agree, and tell me if you agree with this. Whenever you go and you take it into whispers and you press the issue on the person, and it's not enough to just say you suck once, you're saying it multiple times, they block you, you're making a new account. This is clearly beyond normal behavior. This is not just trash talk. This is weird harassment, and I think Blizzard should get rid of it. That's harassment. That's the point. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Trash talk's fine. Take it out of the match or whatever, then it becomes problem bullying. Yeah, exactly. It's weird. Yeah, it definitely is. Trash talking is not all that public sports in reality. We see people scuffle, but rarely hear what they say. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that it just depends. But, like, yeah, that's harassment. Yeah, there's being an absolute douche. Yeah, it's like, what is the benefit of having a person like that in the community? They should help by changing the systems that bring out the worst in people, like Mythic Plus. And I actually think that's a very good point. I think that's a great point, because there are a lot of systems in WoW that I think create these negative experiences. And you should change them. Like, depleting a key shouldn't exist. Straight up. It should not exist. There is no positive to be like, yeah, there's no, like, this does not make the game better. This does not improve anything. Like, there's no, oh, wow, your progression from, like, a 24 to a 25. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, let them just do the 25s until they get it right. You see what I'm saying? Like, why not? Why not just let them just keep doing it? Like, it's way better that way. There are positives, but they pale in comparison to the downsides. Yes, I think that's a good way to say it. Yes, you're right, Nixie. There are some positives, but there are way more downsides. And I think that also creating outcomes that make people mad should be something that you actively try to remove. And so that's one thing that I think really matters that a lot of people need to keep in mind. You have to create outcomes that don't just make people mad. Let's see here. Why would only toxic comments be punished and not toxic gameplay, and toxic gameplay not? You're totally right. And in my opinion, I think that if you are... this was a big scandal back in Burning Crusade. There was an individual who played a feral druid, and he stood on the goblin to queue for arena. No, this was like Soda, no, you guys don't understand. Soda got this idea from this guy 10, 15 years ago. Like, Soda is just reliving the memory. They'll never be able to enforce it. There's a good chance that that's the case. League of Legends true history of that toxicity, toxic in chat, but toxic gameplay not, so people develop a toxic gameplay meta. Yeah, exactly. I think that, why does this concept work in gambling? When someone loses, they lose money, right? So what's so bad about negative outcomes when failing? Removing negative outcomes should not be the solution to avoid shitty behavior. People should learn how to behave with other human beings. Well, I know that they should learn how to behave with other human beings. Like, and you want to talk about gambling, most people don't like gambling. Having a shitty outcome, like, it's like what degree of shitty outcome is okay? Like, why should you indulge? There's a very simple question. Why should you indulge a hostile person in the game? At what level is that harmful to the game? And why should everybody else around them have to suffer because they are hostile? It's like, for example, like, there's nothing that makes me more mad than whenever somebody queues into a random battleground and they suck dick and they don't care, and then they just come in, they're not bad. They're intentionally throwing the game because they think it's funny that people are getting mad at them. And hey, by the way, guys, I used to do this. I used to be this guy, and I would have never done it if I would have gotten suspended. And you know what? You know what I used to do? This was an Isle of fucking Strand of the Ancients. Me, Zach was on that computer right over there. Austin was on that computer. Jeff was on his fucking laptop. And we'd queue into Strand of the Ancients with Bogey on fucking Skype. And we'd be sailing in on the boats. And we'd be saying to each other, Ocean Strat? Who's up for Ocean Strat? And we're like, yeah, let's do Ocean Strat. And we type it in chat. And people are like, wait, what's Ocean Strat? What's Ocean Strat? What are we talking about Ocean Strat? I'm like, oh, you'll see what it is. So, all right, leave the tanks to us. We'll take care of the tanks. So we get in the tanks. We drove him right out to the fucking ocean. Drove him right out into the fucking ocean. All the way. There's like the four of us to do. There's two at the beginning and then four, like driving next to each other. Fucking out into the ocean. And like, remember that shit? Yeah, Ocean Strat. People are just mauling. We got Dan Sachs in chat. He knows. Oh my god, he knows all about it. That's fucking funny. It was so fucking funny. But imagine being the guy in the group that has to deal with that. You know what I mean? Imagine having to do it. And we would have never done that if we thought we'd get in trouble. But we didn't, so we did it. Have high expectations. People will rise to meet those expectations. The social contract is 100% pushing an agenda, nothing else. Well, it's obviously pushing an agenda. It's pushing an agenda. They don't want people to be fucking hostile to each other in the game. Good job, fucking Einstein. Great job. I can't believe you figured that one out. Thank God. Yeah, you figured it out. They're pushing an agenda. I can't believe it. Who could have ever imagined that?